long before Marilyn Monroe whispered happy birthday to a president, before Britney shaved her head or Zendaya ruled the red carpet, there was another face, just as captivating, just as tragic. Her name was Olive Thomas, and she was Hollywood's first it girl. A flapper before flappers, a scandal before TMZ, and a mystery that haunts the old world of silent cinema to this day. At just 25 years old, she was dead in a Paris hotel room, poisoned. Her story was part love affair, part fairy tale, and part cautionary tale. A century later, it still doesn't have a satisfying ending. Let's rewind the reel and dive into the life and very strange death of the woman who became America's first tragic movie star. Born Oliva R. Duffy in 1894, Olive Thomas didn't come from fame or fortune. She was a small-town girl from Charleroi, Pennsylvania. Her father died when she was 12, leaving her mother to raise the family in working-class poverty. Olive married young, divorced even younger, and made the kind of bold move that 1910 society women weren't supposed to make. She struck out alone for New York City, and not to be a housemaid or a telephone operator. She wanted the spotlight, and she found it. Her first break came not from Hollywood, but Broadway. Specifically, the legendary Ziegfeld Follies, a show so glamorous it made euphoria look subtle. Imagine a 1910s version of a Victoria's Secret runway crossed with the idol. Women in feathers and pearls, men in tuxedos, and an audience full of socialites. And Olive? She was the headliner. She was the girl every man wanted, and every woman wanted to be. Her signature look, a wide-eyed pout with dark curls, became the template for Hollywood's idea of female beauty. Before Instagram filters, before TikTok dances, before clean girl aesthetic, there was Olive Thomas. And in that world of excess, she caught the eye of a very important man. Enter Jack Pickford. Yes, that Pickford. The brother of America's sweetheart, Mary Pickford. One of the most powerful figures in silent film. Jack was Hollywood royalty. But unlike his golden sister, Jack was the family's black sheep. A party boy, a drinker, a classic nepo baby with an appetite for chaos. He and Olive were both beautiful, both young, both reckless. They eloped in secret in 1916, and to the public, they were a match made in Hollywood heaven. But insiders knew the truth. Their relationship was a cocktail of obsession, passion, jealousy, and substance abuse. Jack introduced Olive to the lavish world of Hollywood, its parties, its fame, and its darkness. They were like the 1910s version of Machine Gun Kelly and Megan Fox, only more destructive and with fewer Instagram captions. Behind the scenes, the marriage was full of fights, reconciliations, and alcohol-fueled drama. Rumors swirled, infidelity, drug use, even STIs. And through it all, Olive continued to rise in her own right. Despite being overshadowed by her famous sister-in-law, Olive carved out her own path in film. She signed with Selznick Pictures and soon starred in hits like The Flapper, the film that actually coined the term. Her roles were feisty, funny, and fiercely independent, mirroring the real Olive beneath the studio polish. She became the first baby vamp, a sexy, mischievous girl next door with a rebellious streak. Think of her as the 1920s answer to Margot Robbie in Wolf of Wall Street, or Emma Stone in Easy A. She didn't just play the role, she designed it, and the world noticed. By 1920, Olive Thomas was one of the most sought-after actresses in the country. She was on magazine covers, in theaters coast to coast, and splashed across newspaper columns. She had what every star wants: attention, adoration, and agency. But fame, as we've learned time and again, whether it's Britney in 2007, Lindsay Lohan in the 2000s, or even Ariana Grande today, can be both a blessing and a curse. In September 1920, Olive and Jack set off for Paris, a glamorous escape intended to rekindle their love and ease Jack's ongoing health issues. But what was meant to be a romantic getaway soon became one of the most infamous chapters in early Hollywood history. At around 3 in the morning, on September 6th, the couple returned to their suite at the Hotel Ritz, visibly drunk but affectionate. While Jack went to bed, Olive reportedly lingered, possibly looking for sleeping medicine or simply something to drink. What happened next is one of the most chilling moments in silent film history. Jack awoke to Olive's blood-curdling screams. From the bathroom, he heard her cry out, "Oh my God," and he rushed in to find her in agony. Olive, pale and panicked, gasped for him to find out what was in the bottle she had just consumed. Jack read the label and froze. Poison. Olive had accidentally ingested mercury bichloride, a corrosive chemical used to treat Jack's syphilis sores. It was meant for external use only, but Olive had drunk it, likely mistaking the bottle for water or a sleep aid in her intoxicated state. Jack didn't hesitate. He rushed her to the American hospital in Neuilly-sur-Seine, just outside Paris. Over the next 5 days, Olive clung to life while the mercury ravaged her kidneys, stomach, and nervous system. Meanwhile, the press exploded. Rumors ignited like wildfire, everything from suicide due to marital issues to accusations that Jack had intentionally poisoned his wife to collect insurance money. Some claimed she had just learned of another affair. Others speculated she was despondent after contracting syphilis herself. Still others painted Jack as a villain, manipulating a young woman to her doom. Jack vehemently denied it all. "Olive and I were the greatest pals on earth," he insisted. But it wasn't enough to stop the tidal wave of gossip. Inside the hospital, Olive Thomas was fading. For the last 12 hours of her life, she survived only through hypodermic injections. Despite her pain, she never seemed to believe she was dying. When Jack asked her how she felt, her last recorded words were heartbreaking. "Pretty weak, but I'll be all right in a little while. Don't worry, darling." She passed away shortly after in Jack's arms. But even in death, the story wasn't over. Jack accompanied Olive's body back to America aboard a steamship. The journey nearly became a second tragedy. Overwhelmed with guilt and grief, Jack reportedly tried to throw himself into the sea. It was only a voice inside him, his mother's, he later said, that stopped him. On September 29th, 1920, Olive Thomas's funeral took place at St. Thomas Episcopal Church in New York City. It was chaotic. Crowds surged. Women fainted. Police had to escort the casket. Olive had become not just a symbol of lost glamour, but a spectacle. Even the Pickford family, never fully supportive of Jack's marriage, attended. But many observers noted their sympathy might have been better served while she was still alive. Before her burial, the official medical examiner ruled her death accidental, caused by mercury poisoning and acute nephritis. The verdict legally cleared Jack Pickford's name, but in the court of public opinion, the stain never fully faded. Jack went on to remarry twice, once to another Ziegfeld girl, but he never emotionally recovered. Haunted by Olive's death and his own spiraling health, he drank heavily and suffered chronic illness. In a haunting full circle, Jack Pickford died in the same Paris hospital as Olive, just 13 years later, at the age of 36. Olive Thomas's death was more than personal tragedy. It was a cultural moment. The moment Hollywood learned that beauty and fame came with a price. She was the original cautionary tale, setting the stage for the many that followed: Marilyn, Judy, Whitney, Amy. In an eerie twist, Olive is said to haunt the New Amsterdam Theatre in New York, the same place where her Ziegfeld stardom began. Multiple stagehands, actors, and security guards have claimed to see a woman in a blue dress with big eyes roaming the catwalks. Some say she's watching. Others say she's warning. She remains frozen in time, a symbol of old glamour, young death, and unanswered questions. You might ask, why do we care? It's been over 100 years. The silent films are lost. The people are dead. The scandals forgotten. But in a strange way, Olive's story still echoes. She was the first of her kind, and tragically, not the last. Every time a young star implodes under the weight of public pressure, paparazzi obsession, or personal demons, the same questions haunt us. Why do we worship young women only to destroy them? And why does the myth of the beautiful tragic woman remain such an irresistible Hollywood story? History has a way of forgetting the women it wrongs. But Olive Thomas, in her silence, still speaks. She's not just a ghost of old Hollywood. She's a mirror. And if the entertainment industry keeps rewriting the same tragic script, then maybe the ghost of Olive isn't stuck here. Maybe we are.